Hello, welcome. We're going to start today sitting, and we're going to use a blanket. We're going to use that for more than one thing. So we're going to start sitting on it. So just grab a blanket or like a thick bath towel, fold it up so it's kind of a firm edge, and just have a seat. So today's practice is going to be about opening the torso in a kind of a more gentle way so that we can breathe more easily and put down any grip of stress that we're holding. So let's start right away with that intention of just letting go of any kind of protective holding that we don't need right now. Sometimes it helps to just do that with an exhale, maybe to close the eyes and just rest your arms on your legs and give a conscious moment to noticing if you might be holding that tension and where you could release. So at the moment, observe your breath. Just noticing how there's a swelling and an expanding when you inhale. And then there's a settling that happens on the exhale. And we'll come back to the breath periodically through the practice. But for now, you can let go of that effort of looking. And try to relax your mind and make less effort there. And we'll begin to move a little. We'll start to sway the torso above the hips. So you can circle, you can hula hoop with your ribs or spiral or lean. There's no right way here or wrong way. Just begin to awaken your body with a little bit of conscious exploratory movement. If you are circling or doing something that's kind of one directional, just make sure you go the other way at some point. Just another moment or two with this practice of moving freely here. And slow that down so that you kind of land in your posture where you're sitting somewhat upright. If you have your eyes closed, just softly open them and let the light come in. If you're sitting cross-legged, you're going to switch your leg cross now. We're going to sit a little bit longer. If you're not cross-legged, don't worry about that. And we'll just side bend here over to the right. We're going to put the right hand on the ground. And with the left arm, we're going to move through a range of motion. So we're going to bring it up and over. And as we take it overhead, we're going to contract the right side so that we swell the left side open. And then we're going to sweep that left arm back, kind of out into the left and down. So we're lubricating the shoulder and we're stretching the side body. So you inhale, you kind of swell again with the breath in, and you push into the right hand, squeeze the right side body so the left side opens. And then you release from that breath in and drop that hand. Let's do that one more time. So we inhale. Maybe there's an exhale here where you squeeze the right side and push that left side open. Breathe in. This time come up and just switch on over to the side bend on the left. So left hand down. Inhale, right arm up. Perhaps an extra little exhale to help with squeezing now the left side into a tighter contraction so that the right side can open. Inhaling, the arm comes up and we reach it over to the side. So we're going to do this 3 times, so twice more on your own. Just working with how much you have to flex or engage your side so that you can actually use it, but not over tense it. We're not trying to get back to that sense of protecting or gripping. come on up. Stay right here in your seat. And we're going to take the hands to an interlace out in the front and push the palms forward toward the front or away from your chest. So just try to squish out. That's a new word. Squish out. Straighten your arms. Press your hands out and squeeze your elbows straight. Keep pushing now and round your back. So sort of like cat pose. You can kind of roll the weight toward the back of your sitting bones or toward your butt flesh more. Tuck your chin, look down, round your back. And when you sit upright, carry your palms up overhead. And depending on the tightness of your wrists and your arms, they may go all the way overhead. They may not. Mine don't. That's like pretty intense for my body. So you just go where you can. And you picture more of an upward energy from the hips to the hands rather than just jamming your arms straight. Just kind of think of lengthening, lengthening, lengthening. Now we're going to untangle the hands. We're going to sweep the arms out to the side on exhale and bring them on down. Okay, so we're going to move off of our seat. We're going to take that blanket. As I mentioned, we're going to use it again here, and we're going to place it sideways across the mat. So you could roll it, you could fold it, doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a blanket either, but not super high because you're going to lie back on it. And when you get to your back, you want it to be kind of under your upper middle back. So it's creating a bridge shape with your upper back as the high point. You want your shoulders kind of relaxing back on one side, arms on that same side with your head, and butt on the other side. So if you get here and you feel some gripping in your neck or like choking feeling, that's not pleasant. We don't really want that. So you would just make your prop lower or adjust somehow. And we'll just spend a little moment here first doing nothing. How nice. When in life do we get to do that? What a gift it is to be able to pause, to give yourself this time. So as we did at the beginning, just coming back to observing the breath, the inhale, there's a natural expansion. And maybe you start to notice more nuance now, like does one side of your body expand more easily or more quickly? And again, the exhale is a moment of settling or releasing. From here, you're going to take your arms up. You're going to turn your palms toward your knees and you're going to reach your arms overhead. So as you reach overhead, don't try to get to the floor. In fact, stop with your hands at shoulder height. And much like when you were sitting, reach away from your head. So we were taking the clasped hands overhead then, but now like length as the goal. So draw your front ribs down slightly and reach away through your fingers. Bring your arms back up. Cross your forearms and grab for your upper forearm or your elbow. And then repeat the action. Take your elbows and your forearms toward your forehead or maybe even over your hairline toward the crown of your head or toward the floor. Pause with your elbows about shoulder height. So they're elevated, right? Because your, I guess your chest height, your chest is on that lift. Draw your front ribs slightly down and push your elbows away. Think of lengthening on the sides of the body. Bring the arms back up. Switch which forearm is on top. Super counterintuitive. Feels very strange. Not natural. I understand that that's genetic. We kind of come pre-programmed as to which way we clasp our fingers and hands and arms like this. So they go overhead, same as before, or towards the forehead. And you're trying to draw down just slightly with your ribs so the front ribs aren't just out of control flaring up. And as you reach the arms overhead, you're reaching more toward the away from your head direction than back toward the floor. So long, not back bendy. Good job. Bring the arms up. Free the hands. Take a breath. And then roll onto your side. Use your hands to push up. Take that blanket, just put it off to the side for right now. And then make your way to all fours. You're going to come to all fours kind of toward the back edge of your mat. In other words, we're going to need a little space to walk the hands forward. So initially, you're going to take your arms and walk them out to puppy pose. And you're going to stay a little bit high. So you're going to elevate your armpit area just to support your shoulder joint. And then you're going to ask that your upper back leads the descent rather than just dropping or collapsing in your shoulders. So a little buoyancy in the armpits, a bit of release in the chest. Lift your waist. Take your front ribs, the floating ribs, so those are down closer to your waistline. Just lift those up. And see if you can get the upper back to relax down instead. Good job. Now you're going to lean forward, drop your forearms down so you're in Sphinx Pose. Walk your feet back and put your hips on the earth. Pull gently with your arms so that you create some length in the spine. Press your pubic bone down and squeeze your butt muscles just a touch so that the back body is part of the practice, part of the pose. Kind of telescope out through your neck so that the neck is longer, and then rotate your head toward the right. Pause there, allowing the left side of your neck to stretch and open. It won't feel too extreme for most people. Soften your eyes. Soften your jaw. And just be patient. Rotate head through center. Remember I said that this was going to be gentle, not rushed. Twist your head the opposite way. So looking toward the left or maybe over the left shoulder. A little press down in the pubic bone. Lengthen through the neck, even the left side of your neck. Noticing where you might feel restriction or a more subtle level of stretch, right? We don't need to go to maximum intensity level. In fact, we need to back away from that edge. So just teach yourself to be aware of subtlety a little bit more. Come back to face center. You're going to open the elbows and you're going to put your head down. And you can put your chin down, your cheek, your forehead, whatever, doesn't matter. You're going to take a moment to relax your belly. All the viscera, that connective tissue that's woven in, around, through, and as everything. The whole body is one big network of that. So let's relax the part that's in the middle now, onto the earth. And as we did when we were in Sphinx, we're going to push the pubic bone down, squeeze the buns a little bit, and then we're going to elevate the legs. So let your feet just go to a natural rotation. So there might be a slight turnout. And you're squeezing your cheek muscles, your butt cheeks, not your face cheeks, unless you're smiling. And just reach through the legs so that you're working the back line of your body from butt downward. You might feel a little bit in your upper back too. Try to relax your face, your jaw, your eyes. Keep doing it. Don't give up. Just squeeze, 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 and lift. Go for length, not just height. Length through the legs. Stretch out through the legs. Take one more breath. Exhale. Ooh, relax your belly. Slide your hands onto the mat. Maybe even just a little wide, so slightly hanging off the mat. And then peel your spine up into any elevation you want. And if it's too much on your hands or it's too high to come up into Cobra, just come back to Sphinx. Just put your elbows down. Either way, we're going to just barely elevate the toes off the ground, recalling that butt squeezing action to help us open the front of the body. If the back body works, the front body is being asked to open. Slide the throat back, lengthen through the head and neck. Take one inhale right up into the top of your chest. On the exhale, release everything back to the floor, and then push yourself up to all fours. We're going to come back toward our all fours near the back of the mat. Now, if you have a yoga block, you might use it here. You don't have to. If you don't worry about it. But we're going to go from puppy pose starting, but down on the forearms so that we can bend the elbows up and join the hands. So we're just increasing the shoulder and upper arm stretch. Now, if you want more intensity, this is where you would grab your block. You would put it between your hands, wide way. And when you walk your elbows forward and bend them, as you bring your hands toward the sky, your block is holding the hands apart. And this is going to increase the stretch in the shoulders. So if it's too much, no block. Or if you don't have a block, no worries. Just put your hands together. And recall what you did in the first puppy pose. You're going to lift your ribs, lift your armpits. I know that's a weird cue, but you're just trying to support the shoulders a little bit by not dumping them out toward the floor. And instead, see if you can keep kind of a support so that everything is kind of bowing down toward the floor more evenly. It's not like it's just your shoulders or just your belly. Picture some breadth across the back of your shoulders. So from the back of your spine wide toward your outer shoulder area. So keep some width or breadth there. Stay with it. Let's take one more breath in order to watch that swelling and expanding that occurs on the inhale. One more exhale, just trying to find a moment of less effort, less working. And then if you're still bent to elbowed, put the arms down, put the block down, crawl your way back to all fours. And then please step forward with your right foot toward the front of your mat. So if the floor is too far, you can always go fingertips. You can always put your hand on a block, whatever you need. We're going to make a rotation, but it's going to be a pulse, kind of like what we did when we were in our seated pose earlier. So move your left hand off the mat to the side. Just turn it out a touch or put your block over there so it's wide from your right foot. And then you're basically going to do like a backstroke. You're going to reach forward with your right hand. You're going to sweep that arm up, any rotation that you want with your hand. And as you reach it up, you're going to twist. So you're creating lots of length. And you're going to rotate and sweep the right arm up, around, and back behind you. You're going to pass it by your right hip. So it's coming down and completing the circle. And then you're going to pass it by your knee. And you've done one circle. We're going to do 2 more circles just like that. So inhale, reach. Exhale, twist. Reaching back, rotating as you go. And come on back around. So you might have to take a couple of breaths in there as you're moving slower. Or maybe you go with your breath, 1 breath. You just do it for you. Circling to twist. And kind of leaning back a little bit away from your right leg. So there's a gap or a space there where you're almost back bending as you twist. So let's do this 2 more times. We're doing 5 total or something like that. And even your head can turn, right? We prepped that in our Sphinx pose. So as you twist the arm, you twist the spine, you lean back away from your right leg, and you even look back over your right shoulder. Okay, untwist it. And when we come out, we're going to step back and we're going to come into dog pose. We haven't done that one yet. And when you get in dog pose, we haven't really stretched the legs too much. So bend your knees. Focus more on the upper body. This idea that we've been creating of lift or lightness in the armpit and shoulder, and deepening more in the upper back so that what's bending is more contiguous or even across from hands to hips. It's not just one part that's bending. And then put your knees down. Your knees may have gotten straightened as you stayed there for a little bit, and that's totally fine. Okay, step forward with left foot. So it's going to come wherever's comfortable for your hips. It might even turn out a little bit. Right hand's going to go a little wide on your mat. Now you could always put it on a block if you need that extra bit of height. And then we're going to start to circle the left arm. So remember that we're going to reach forward, and we're kind of doing like a backstroke windmill with the arm. So as you come forward, you're creating length. Don't worry about which direction your hand is facing. Just let it go natural. And then twist to the left, circle your arm back and around. You're twisting your spine, and you're leaning back a little bit away from your leg as well. Hand comes down, it passes by the leg. You might already have done the circle. You might be faster than me. And then you're going to do that 4 more times. So reaching up, twisting, looking back, and just kind of watch what happens, what evolves as you do this 3 more times. If anything changes, what might that be? And if it doesn't change, do you feel good about that? Is that okay? Or do you feel stuck? Once you've done your 5 or something like it, I feel like I could do about 25 on this side. It feels so good. This side's my tighter side. You're going to go back to dog pose. And again, let's start with the knees bent. And if you're feeling any tightness or gripping in your shoulders, maybe just take your hands a little wider. Maybe turn them slightly out, or play with that foundation so you're not stuck in some form that isn't working for you. We'll just hang out here for about 5 breaths. You're going to tiptoe your feet forward. Let them come to hip width and just a natural stance. Don't force parallel. Just let them be what they be when they land on their own. Bend your knees. Allow the arms to rest down, the head to relax. And then tuck your tail. Start to roll up through the spine. Just pull your belly in, flex your spine, round, round, round. Come on up, head last. Head's been down for a while, so take your time until you're standing. Now we're going to balance on one foot and do a thigh stretch. So move to support if you need that, like a wall or whatever. Okay, so stand on your right leg. Kick your left foot back behind you and reach back with your hand. And it can be either hand. A twist is fine. Like, that's a natural rotation. So if you want to hold with your right foot, do it. No biggie. Okay, so pull your foot in. I'm going to turn actually and face the wall. It's going to be easier. We're going to pull the foot in. We're going to keep it from winging off to the left. So you're going to draw it down slightly. Not rigidly so, but, just some support there. And then pull the tail under and lift the front of the belly up. So if you pictured that in your... So this plane that goes from front to back, we call it the sagittal plane anatomically. So picture this almost like a gear or loop spinning in the sagittal plane, where the front of the pelvis is lifting and the back of the pelvis is tucking down. So there's a loop there. Just trying to get into the front of that left thigh. I'm going to drop that foot, switch it out whenever you're ready. So maybe a little softness in the standing leg, just so you're not stiff and rigid. And playing with this pelvic loop that spins in the sagittal plane, where the tail, the back side, the sacrum roots down, and the front side rolls up. When you do that, it's usually going to push the knee forward. So just check that you haven't come way out of that line where it's kind of lost that bigger stretch in the quad. Let's stay with it maybe a couple more breaths. Good job. Step down, put the right foot near the front of the mat. We're going to step back with the left foot. We're going to allow the hips to face where they naturally face. And we're going to slowly spin the left heel down. So it's going to go on a diagonal, that left foot. That's going to force the hips to turn most likely a little to the left. Just let them. Don't worry about it. Go hands on your hips for this and begin to pulse in your front knee. So you're going to bend it and straighten it a few times. And this movement can help shift a little bit energetically. It can help you push the energy through your body in a good way. But I also want you to remain mostly upright with your spine and to find a place where that upright posture feels even. And what I mean is you're not so far back that you're like crunching your low back, that you're able to lengthen the front of your body and the back of your body, maybe even the sides of your body. So where would that be? Especially when you're in the lunge, in the knee bend. Where is that spot? Now, the next time you go into that lunge, you're just going to hold that and you're going to let your torso face wherever it's facing. Okay, so we're taking off some of the rigid structure of what like warrior one has to look like kind of old school yoga was like very rectilinear and rigid. So let your body stay where it is. And we're going to add a little arm movement like we did before with the twist. So we're going to sweep up with that left hand. And we're going to twist a little bit open and reach it back. So you can use your right hand on your hip as you do this. And you're going to roll the chest forward. You're going to sweep that left arm up. You might even look up. You're turning your whole chest, reaching back. We're just going to do 3, not 5 this time. Last one, you're reaching up, lengthening the whole torso, not just the front. Maybe there's even a side bend as you twist open, multiplanar movement. And as you bring your hand around, you're welcome to just step out of the pose and to just pause and feel what it feels like to be on both feet in the front of the mat, not spread apart, just next to each other. Now step back. Right foot. So it's a long stance, not outrageously so. And you're going to turn that right heel wherever it needs to go so that you can put it down on the floor without feeling pain in your knee or your hip. Let your hips turn slightly. They might turn a little to the right. You're not trying to force them forward. Anatomically, this is not really possible to point the hips forward and put the heel down turned like it is. So just do what you can. And start to bend and straighten your front legs. Just moving up and down with that lunge. And using your sense of curiosity and awareness to observe where is upright in my spine, but that isn't causing distress somewhere. And you might have to adjust slightly. Where do you need to position yourself where you're creating lightness and length in the torso, where things feel a little bit more balanced? It's like everything can benefit from this sense of positioning. So you're very much trying to do this from the inside out, feeling your own body versus trying to make it look like something on the outside. Like I said earlier, this is my tight side, so I'm gonna have to be way forward here. So you pause, next knee bend, and you go where you need to go. And I don't care at all what it looks like. I care more what it feels like. We want this kind of more freedom, more naturalness in the pose. And we're going to start to move. Now it's the right arm. So left hand on left leg for support. We're going to reach up, forward, out with that right hand. So much like we did in our twist, but now we're twisting open instead of across the leg. We're going to take right hand turn with the chest, reach back with the right hand around, and sweep it back forward. Now as it comes up, you might find that you're even called to side bend a little to the left, or to twist and side bend kind of all at the same time. And you're just exploring that movement, one last circle, so 3 total, where you're giving your body a chance to move how it wants to. You're not forcing it to be stuck in one shape of warrior 3 or side angle or whatever. As you bring the hand back around, step forward, top of the mat. Readjust the feet so that they're kind of in line with each other, a natural stance. Just pause. Feel the pulsation of energy now in your body since you're holding still. We're going to inhale, reach kind of forward and up, not so wide to the side, just a natural way to lift the arms. Maybe look up. And then on the exhale, fold forward with just a little softness in the knees. Taking off that extreme layer of intensity of jamming the legs straight. And we'll take an inhale to lengthen the spine, kind of pulling it forward away from the hips. And then plant the hands, come into plank or kneeling plank, and lower yourself to the floor. Repeating just that little engagement in the legs, where we're going to hover the toes as we come up into cobra or up dog. Maybe it's Sphinx for you, but that active back body. And add just one piece with me in this back bend. You're going to twist to the right, turn the head to the right, squeeze your butt. Good thing you're not chewing gum. That'd be one too many things, right? Twist left, or maybe you are. Come to center. Push back. Take dog pose. Lightness in the underside of the arms. Breath across your back. A swelling, expanding on the inhale, and kind of a settling and grounding on the exhale. Drop your knees. Take a rest in child's pose. Okay, you're going to sit up. You're going to find that blanket that you started with at the beginning of the practice. And you're going to put that on your mat long ways now instead of crossways. And you might want to have another little pillow or block, I like it under, something so the head can be just a touch higher than everything else. So you're going to lie down on this with your butt not on it, but everything else on it. Well, everything else of the upper body. So buns down, back down, head releases, but potentially with a little lift. If you don't like that head position, or you don't have another cushion, that's fine. Then stretch your legs out. And we're prepping not just to do Shavasana, but just to do a little bit of breath work here as we settle in to Shavasana. Start with the observation, the same observation that I've sprinkled through the whole practice, just noticing the swelling, the expanding of the ribs. And the settling, a slight kind of drawing in that happens on the exhale. Breathe through your nose. When you exhale, try to make a sighing sound through your nose. It's almost like you're kind of fogging up a glass, but you're doing it through your nose. Your throat and mouth might make that shape, but your lips are closed. And this is naturally going to begin to stretch the exhales a little bit longer. As your body relaxes here, you're going to be able to have a little bit more control on the side of the inhale as well. So when that comes, start to sip the breath in more slowly on the inhale. You're doing that through your nose still, but you're stretching the breath so it's a little bit longer. For about a minute now, we're going to see if we can keep that sound going on the inhale and the exhale. This is classic Ujjayi. And there might even be a small pause between each breath. Some refinements would be that you emphasize some lateral expansion in the rib cage versus letting your belly lift up. So you're shifting that pressure differential in the chest up so that the ribs lift and widen instead of just your belly popping out. Try to do that with less force than more force. I know that might be weird. And just try that for one more cycle of inhale and exhale. And then you're going to let go completely. No more control of breath. And you're going to come back to this idea of settling and minimal effort. Use less effort. Just let your mind be. Just let your body be. I know you might be tempted to get up and do something else, grab your phone, but try to really give yourself this gift of just another minute or two where your nervous system doesn't have to be so on guard. And when you do decide to move, it's good to just kind of start slow. Don't sit straight up and jar your nervous system. Just maybe wiggle a little bit or stretch the toes and fingers and things like that. You might really have the urge to sit straight, like not to turn to your side, and that's fine, but just don't rush yourself. Seated position, I have the urge to just keep my eyes closed, so just do what you need to. We'll use this sitting as a transition to go kind of more easily back into daily life. So take as much time as you need. Thank you so much for practicing today and for giving yourself this gift of time and peace for yourself. I'll see you next time.